Hello, everyone. I'm the okayest bassist, and this is the BASSics Volume 18. Oh, I'm messing things up already. There we go. Get that light out of there. This is the live stream that I do once a week, typically at 5 Central Daylight Time, to have some folks on live if possible, to discuss topics that might be interesting or helpful, hopefully, for someone like a new player. We've covered all sorts of different things. I do have the possibility of another person joining me. The topic that was requested to discuss tonight was the difference between like custom bases versus mass-produced bases. What are the benefits? What are the drawbacks? Things like that. As I ask a lot, if there's anything weird with audio or anything weird with video, please let me know. I keep changing the setup slightly each week, so I keep trying to make sure that I have decent setup. The microphone's pretty close, but I could get it closer if I needed to, if the audio is a bit much. To me, it sounds kind of echoey, but hey, I don't know. So, obviously, I have my Lignum Art custom bass. That one's been on the channel. The one that I'm wearing currently is my Strandberg Bowden Standard Series. I decided to have this one instead of Ein's, my Lignum, for the simple fact that of all the ones I've gotten, retail price, this would be the most expensive bass. These are typically like 2,500, somewhere in that range, and it is one of the nicest basses I have as far as like total fit and finish. And this one was a B stock, so I got it for, I think it was $1,972, tax, shipping, and all, because there was no tax and no shipping. It is a super nice bass. Now, being a Strandberg, it has the I don't know what they call it, but it's a parallelogram, not a parallelogram, trapezoid shaped neck, that the top of the trapezoid shifts from center of the neck down to the bottom edge on the back of the neck. Has an interesting feeling. I do find it comfortable. But this one has a lot of the super engineering, like the neck, the shape is super ergonomic. It can be played in a classical position. It can be played sitting on the leg. I don't know if it's chambered, probably. It's super lightweight. It's headless so that there's not neck dive. It has the cutaway at the back, so you have easy access to the strings, although it's smart because they have a bit of wood that sticks out the bottom and the top around that, so even if you set it on the ground, it wouldn't rest on the tuners, which is smart. Other companies don't do that, and I don't think it's as smart. This one has Fishman Fluence in it, which I do really like these pickups. I'm considering my next custom build to possibly have them. Just depends on availability and price difference versus what I would normally get. Because I really like the sound that these are putting out. The Fishman Fluence are a different type of pickup. They don't, from my understanding, they have sorcery inside of technology as opposed to magnets and pole pieces. I don't know. I know they have to have a battery to work, and that they have voicing options, not things like the thank you, prop, not like an active passive, but on this particular one, it has a three-way toggle switch. Sound is on low side, but very clear. Okay, well, if I do this, how about that now? Did we get more output, I can increase output, or I can get closer to the mic. I was just scooted back trying to make sure that I could show things. But it does have the three-way toggle switch, and if I play a note with the switch flipped down, I can change the sound that's coming through it. Bass boost, treble boost. If I put the switch all the way up, again, bass boost, treble boost. If it's in the middle, it's supposed to be the passive voicing. However, I can still boost and cut things. So I'm not 100% sure why it's a passive voice, but hey, whatever. So hopefully those sounds came through. If not, well, I'm sorry. Is the audio any better to anybody? I did increase the output. Hopefully it shows like it's not clipping, but it also looks like it's really close to clipping. So hopefully everything came through fine there. But on my side, what I can contribute as, change that a little bit, change those settings around. There we go. What I can contribute on my side as for the mass produced versus custom, having on this live stream, middle sound best to me. Yes, I do prefer what they call the passive voicing. Surprise, surprise. But I do like the Strandberg for all of the ergonomics. The neck is interesting, and some points, like if you try to wrap your hand around it, kind of feels baseball bat-ish. But as soon as you do what the Strandberg neck is designed to do, which is to put your thumb in the right place, it's super comfy. The big thing I will say about this bass, again, out of all of the ones I have, this one has the highest MSRP. And as such, does it need to have that super high MSRP? I'm sure if it had, lesser woods, or if it didn't have the fluence and it just had, lesser pickups, whatever you want to call it, everything would be easier to make. It'd be cheaper. It is highly engineered, so there is that. And even this B stock had excellent QC. There were no problems. But this one is one of the first bases for which I will reach if I'm going to play. And I don't think that's necessarily tied to the price. It's just I like how it sounds. I like how it feels. And that is going to be a pretty big thing when you're looking mass-produced versus custom. We were having some of us in the little chat group that we have were having the discussion earlier, and we were talking about, like, okay, is it worth for a custom bass? And what I can say, having bought a custom bass and having a second one being made, I think they're worth it. But I go back to the statement that I've made multiple times. You should not put money into something that you don't need if you don't have that money. Quite simply, don't spend money you don't have on something you don't need. If you want the super cool custom bass and you have that disposable income, or not as smart but still a viable option, if you have a way of finding the way to get it financed, if it's like my credit card that I have has the ability that if I make a purchase, I can break it down into payments, and that's all there is to it. It doesn't have to be set up for financing like at a store level. So that makes it feasible for me to get the instruments that I would like, and then I get them paid off over time. If you have that ability and it works for you, then absolutely feel free to do it. But again, don't put yourself to the point of, oh crap, I have to make the base payment this month. So I guess that means I'm not going to be able to afford food. Or, well, is it pay for the base payment or is it pay for car insurance this month? Don't put yourself for a hobby to the point where you're economically, financially unstable. If you can stay stable, then go ahead. if you have the money to spend, depending on where you get it, the price may be well worth it. For example, my Lignum right here, Eins, that one I got through Lignum Art out of Croatia. I paid basically just at $2,000 by the time everything was said and done. That was the design, the making of it, all the parts, the shipping, everything. So that one for 2 grand was 100% designed by me, my specifications, my shaping, all of it. Like every single detail on that was discussed with me, and then it was made. I was given updates on the process, and here it is, and it is my favorite base. However, this brand new is $2,500. It's $500 more than the custom base. Now, granted, this one, if you can find it in a store, you can get it and you could have it within the week. You could pay for ultra fast shipping and maybe have it the next day. Can't do that with a custom base. You're going to wait, you're going to see it. I know I probably bothered Gustav's. I know I bothered him multiple times a week, definitely several times a month, going, hey, any new pictures? Do we have an update? Are we still looking like the however many month time frame? Are we still thinking we're going to have it by then? It did have a couple of delays, but either way, I know that Lignum's pricing stuff is different than most other places. When I was at NAMM, I saw a bunch of boutique places, and their prices were $3, $4, $6, $8, $10,000. Crazy math, crazy amounts. Whereas the Lignum was 2 grand. I have another one being designed. It's probably going to fall in that same price range. And you compare that to some of the other stuff you can get. Strandberg Bowden, $2,500. You can get a B stock for under 2 grand. This is every bit as good a base as Eins. I like Eins better because I prefer the short multi-scale. However, the next one is probably going to be Dingwall scale. But like this one has more ergonomics than Eins for sure. It's way lighter. Eins is heavy because it's a single cut. But the Josie and the Pussycats space base, maybe. The biggest thing that I would say on the custom is where are you getting it, who's making it, what do you have going into it, and how custom is it? Like, I've looked for other places before I found Lignum, and even after I found Lignum, I still looked at a few other places, and I found that none of the places that did custom, one, I didn't find anywhere that let you do your own custom shape, at least not through their website. They didn't have a, hey, what do you want? Let's design it together. They had a, here are our models. Tell us what you want. So that was one thing that was different that Lignum doesn't have. Now, I will say, Gustav is very particular on what he will design. If you send him something that's a spiky, unwieldy looking metal machine, he's probably not going to want to do it. The one that I'm designing now, I've tried doing a lot of like points and edges and things, and he's flat out said I don't find that elegant. I don't really care for that design, and we're going back and forth. We're still trying to decide. He's the craftsperson. He is the one who ultimately has the final say. Like, I can say yes or no whether I'm going to buy it. He has the final say on yes or no whether he'll make it. And that's another thing you need to know about a custom instrument. You can't get a hold of someone to make a custom and every single thing will go the way you want, because here's the thing, you're not making it, so you may not understand what's going into being produced, and they make the thing. If it's a company or an individual, they make that thing. They know about making it. They have experience making it. If you say, hey, I want a Strandberg Bowden, but I want it this ultra big crazy shape, and I want triple humbuckers in it, and I want it to be headless, but I want the body to have a cutout at the bottom and all this. You could end up, again, like I said earlier about this, it has the two ears of wood to protect the tuners if it were to land or sit down. Now, also the strap buttons there too. That is a smart design. And if you were to say, hey, I want these things hanging all the way off the end of it, that could be a problem. You might get someone who would make it for you. But if they turn around, they're like, hey, you really need to protect those tuners, because if somehow that bass were to drop, you'd rather it hit wood than those tuners, because if the string tension and that strike is too much, it could snap it right off, and now you have a body damage that you have to fix rather than maybe a dent, ding, or a scratch. So that's one thing on a custom. You may put a whole bunch of money into making a custom or having it made, and not be able to have every single thing you want, because some of the things you may want may be dumb. You may want something that makes absolutely no sense, and your builder should turn around and say, hey, here's what you're asking for, but here's what makes more sense. Or I think what you're asking for, this would be better. So there is that. People are asking me to switch, so I'll switch to Eins. Always use a strap on. Anyway, so this is Eins. Been on the channel plenty of times. Will stay on the channel a bunch of times. So quite a different design. Single cut, somewhat violin shaped on the top, narrow horn on the bottom, contouring on the body. Don't know if that's easy to see. There you go. Kind of is with the lighting there. Same thing on this side. There's some contouring. Not as easy to show on that side. White finish, because I really wanted that. Custom designed and put in inlays. No battery compartment. Magnetically attached cover plate. Single Delano X Tender pickup, which is wonderful. Definitely sounds beautiful. My brother-in-law got to play it before anyone but me, because I took it over so he could try it. Ooh, spicy. Turn that volume down. There we go. But yeah, it's a good time. I like it. It's heavier than the Strandberg. That's the point. I had the jack put on the front so I could just plug in a wireless system. I designed all the stuff with it, and it's heavier. It is less ergonomic. If this is the only bass I've ever played that has body dive instead of neck dive. There's a lot more weight back here than there is up here. So if I just let it go, the headstock will rise. Not a big deal, because I rest my arm on it and I'm going to hold on to the neck anyway. So not a big deal. But again, Eins was a complete labor of love. It was a thing that I designed back and forth with Gustav. It took a long time. But the price on this was cheaper than what a new Bogan would cost. You can go and buy Fenders that cost way more than this. I personally am not a fan of a standard shaped instrument, obviously. I have EHBs that I love. I do have an Explorer, but it's probably going away. There is this, which is a Ray 2, and then this Jackson Minion. These two actually surprise or oh yeah, woo, peace sign. I get balloons. These two are actually. I'll announce it now because I don't know when else I was going to announce it. Yes, that was Gorillas. That was Feel Good Inc. Good ear. I didn't play it that well, and you still caught it. Announcement for the channel. The two over here, these two, I've done customizations on them. If the videos aren't out yet, they will be eventually. I think I have 3/4 or up to 90% of all my videos through September already uploaded and in queue. Um, there is a plan. I probably will start a Patreon just because all of the monies that I had for doing bases are basically gone now. Or at least going to be gone as soon as other stuff is available from pre-orders. So I'm planning to do a Patreon, and I plan to do giveaways on that Patreon. Once I reach a certain number of people, I'm gonna get the new logo that you see. I'm gonna try and get some shirts made and do stuff with that too. But those will be these two here and here, here and here. Those are going to end up being giveaways. So, hooray! I think I'm going to launch the Patreon at around 200 subscribers. So I think I'm 75 away. Then I'll launch the Patreon, and then once the Patreon has I don't know yet. I have to look at everything. But once there's a certain amount of money per month coming in, I'll announce like the tiers. If you're on a certain tier, you qualify for a drawing. I'm going to do a drawing maybe once a month. Very similar to Johnny Dibble and Chris's In the Pocket podcast, the way they do it. I'm going to do it very similar to that. And then there'll also be access to videos early, all that fun. But this isn't about that. This isn't about me getting some money to be able to pay for stuff so I can do more stuff. This is on whether you should do custom bases or if they're worth it. So the other thing I would say is, like, I'm not a fan of basic shaped, like fender shaped objects. So I don't find them appealing. So to me, going and spending $3,000-$4,000 or more on like a Fender custom shop makes no sense. I don't want something that's shaped like every $100 bass that you can go out and grab. I don't want that if I walked into a music store or a pawn shop, I'm going to see 5 basses on the wall that all look that same shape. I prefer stuff that's more original, more eclectic, weird, whatever you want to call it, like this. So in this thing's case, is it something that's going to appeal to a bunch of people if I decided to sell it, which I won't do, but if I decided to sell it, is it going to appeal to a bunch of people? No, it's not. However, multiple people like Hondo and Bully who have played it, quite a few of them said that this seemed super nice. Hondo didn't know how much it cost, where the others I'd already told them. And when he played it, he said he figured it was at least $3,000, $3,500 for it. So if anything, if Hondo's a judge, which Hondo has a lot of nice stuff, if his assessment is usable, then I have a lot of equity invested and value in this. However, I'm not getting rid of it. So I think if you find a builder that you like and they work with you and you and they can work together to build something you like, I like this. My favorite. The next one and this one will vie for my attention a lot. And I will play them evenly because I'm an equal opportunity bass dad. I will play my bass children evenly, usually. But if you want to get a custom, you need to understand you can't, as the song says, you can't always get what you want. There will be things that you will or won't be able to do. The builder may have that limitation. The materials you want may not be available. For example, I really want to do another one similar to this, but a bit more pointy, I guess you could say. It will have a theme, but I've not said what that theme is. I don't think. Maybe I did. If you know, cool. If you don't, it's a surprise. But when that one comes in, it will have a theme. And I would like to do it in the 37 to 34, like Dingwall scale. However, my strings that I like, the Diodario ETB 92-5s, they only fit on a 35.5-inch scale easily. 36-inch if you're super lucky and you happen to have one that's marginally longer than the others. Labella makes a set of strings that almost fit a 37-inch. They're black tape wounds, but they They are just slightly too, about a half inch or so, maybe too short. So I'm contemplating now, do I still want to get tapes or am I fine getting flats? Because I know there are flats available. But that's another thing when you're designing too. Like, this is a short multi-scale. I had to, if I can get it to show on the camera, I had to modify the B string by taking the wrapping off and then unwinding part of the outer wire down to the core so that it could be received in the string retainer. Doing that was not super fun. I don't know. I doubt that it's recommended by Diodario, because the string has the risk of unraveling. But I used a lot of very thin CA glue beforehand to make sure that it soaked through each layer to bind it in place. And it looks like we have a guest available to join us. So if we had Sono Jono with a soundboard, we could get the air horns and round of applause going. But everybody, Dyno Dan, bass man, dropping in with us. What's up, Dyno?
What's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
Well, we're already
Sounds
better
good.
off than we were with Bully last week. So there we go. What you got for us,
Yeah.
Dyno? I know you wanted to talk on this subject, and you're a custom bass enthusiast.
Yeah. More like addict. I
Well,
don't know
you
about
know,
enthusiast.
I mean, an addiction, and it just depends on what the rest of your lifestyle happens to be, whether you're an enthusiast or an addict.
Yeah, right.
I haven't heard of many cocaine enthusiasts, but I mean, whatever.
I'm sure Charlie Sheen might call himself that.
Well, he could call himself a lot of things too.
No, so I watched all your like that hour hour plus segment you did
I'm sorry.
with your back and forth. No, no, it was actually really eye opening, if you would, um, to see how much that guy, how much time he spent with you, just going over all the details, and that's really good of him. Um, I got a bass made by that company
Mm-hmm.
Bite guitars. And their stuff's a little more cookie cutter than what you did. Um, not as many options and stuff like that, but they were good communicators. And I asked them to send me pictures along the ways, and they do everything through WhatsApp basically as
Mm-hmm.
far as communication goes. So they send me a picture periodic. Yeah, they send me a picture every once in a while, and it was it was a good experience, really good experience. They packaged it. Everything was. I didn't have no issues with them at all as far as that goes. I even made some changes kind of down the road, and they're really easy going to work them in and stuff, and had a good experience. And then I seen what you did with what's the name of that company's
Who
that you
made
used?
this?
Yeah,
Lignum,
Lignum
Lignum, Lignum Art.
Art. Yeah, I watched I think one of their videos on them building the base and stuff, and I love to geek out on those videos.
Yeah, he just dropped one the other day, and I haven't watched it yet. And it was actually this shape. As we were
Oh,
discussing it, I guess someone else was like, "What do you have?" So he's like, "I'm working on this." So they got the same shape that he and I went back and forth on, but it has, and it also has the single Delano, but then it has two jazz pickups.
oh, okay.
But I haven't watched the video. I don't, because he sent me a picture of it. He's like, "Oh, by the way, your bass is already design's already been snatched with someone else." I was like, "I don't care."
Now is
But
that Delano pickup oval?
mm-hmm.
That's the only way it comes.
No, Delano make pickups for all sorts of stuff. You can get soap bars, jazz,
Oh, okay.
P and all that. The second one that's being designed here. I'll since you're on here, don't tell anybody. I'm gonna give you a
No.
hint. I'm gonna give you a hint. The name this one is called Ainz because I named it after my favorite anime, Overlord. Ainz Ulgon is the name of the main character. So I
Okay.
named it that because he's a skeleton basically. He's actually a creature called an Overlord, which is like an evolution of a lich from D&D. But anyway, so it's white, looks like bone. I call it Ainz.
Okay.
The next one, no one ruin it. This is just for us and the whole internet. Whoever wants to look at it. So don't tell nobody. It's the next one's name is going to be Gorthauer. So anyone who knows who that right might ring a bell for some people if they're a nerd like me. So they might have a hint as to the theme of the next one, but it's basically the antithesis of this one. This one's very curved and elegant, except for the two little tit stabbers that I had them put on there, so it looked like a violin. I at first was dumb. Like I'd said earlier, if you talk to a good builder, they will tell you if things are bad ideas. Dyno took an hour of his life to sit through me voiceovering the order process, and there was a point where I asked, "Hey, can we get these down here? Because that would look really cool." And he was like, "No, because it's gonna stab you in the leg, and it won't be
Yeah,
comfortable." And I
I
was like,
remember
"Oh,"
seeing that.
I was like, "Oh, well." Maybe that is a bad idea. But if they just done what I said every time I went to play, to be like, oh, well, that's there. It's not moving now. Have permanent notches in my leg, so I knew exactly where
Right.
it went. I like the look of the carbon fiber bases. They are not cheap. Yeah, Close. Close makes some. They have like the acoustics that are made all of carbon fiber, and then Close has their base. They did the 4. They've now come out with the Apollo 5 and 6 that are the 5 and 6 string, respectively. And they have the carbon fiber neck, but they still use wood for the body. I actually met the owner, Adam, at NAM. Got to talking to him, gave me his phone number. We've been chatting back and forth about some stuff, surprises for the channel. Maybe this Wednesday's video will have something to do with Close. Who knows?
Yeah.
Every time he says Lignum, I think of those two guys from Twitter, Ligma and Daniel Johnson. Well, I don't know who they are. This isn't Ligma. This is Lignum. Apparently, there's a type of wood called Lignum too. I don't know. Might mean word in Croatian. I don't know. But either way, I mean the bite base, like I'd said, or I don't know how much you heard of the show so far today. My big thing on bite base is they all seem to be FSOs. Everything on there seems to be a fender shaped object.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
like earlier in the group chat, Prop said something about who did he say? Base Mods, was that the name of the place?
Yeah, base mod.
And I went on their website and everything looked to be a jazz bass. Just I didn't stay on long. I didn't search. I just went to the website and started scrolling, and everything looked like a jazz bass. I didn't see anything else, so I pretty well lost interest pretty quick.
So you said at one time you were interested in the Kiesel Vader. Is that the Vader?
No, the one that I looked at, right, like at the point before I contacted Lignum about making this, I looked on Kiesel's site, and I do love their builder. Like they have an awesome builder.
Yeah.
It's one of the better ones online that I've seen, and it's cool to be able to slightly visual. I mean, obviously, if you get a swamp ash body with a translucent purple finish on it, it's not going to look exactly like the page because, of course, wood grain will be different, how light or dark the finish is, all that. But the one that they had that I liked was the Zeus. That was the name of the
Oh, the
model.
Zeus.
But I think because it's a single cut, it looks like a more metal version of a Telecaster to me. That's how I would describe that shape. But I don't know if they do the Zeus anymore because I know
No.
they released a couple of newer models, and I know they retired some.
Yeah,
But
there's not one called the Zeus anymore. There's one
yeah,
that kind of looks like it, but I think they call it the O2 maybe.
I don't know. I went on there
But
since they removed it because I went on to let me see if I can.
so you never seen even a like the first time you seen this bass even somewhat visually was a sketch they did for you?
This one,
Yeah,
it was the pictures on that video.
on that video.
They had a 3D model that they took screenshots that looked very similar to this, but of course
And how
it didn't
committed were you at that point?
when they sent the photos.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest
Like
thing
were
that
you already put in your deposit? Were
no,
you already like on the
everything
hook?
on that video went in order. Like they showed designs. We talked about what pickup would go in it. We talked about the scale length, the fret wire, the inlay. We talked about everything before he would even give me a price. And I asked, I think like 6 times,
Yeah, I
like,
remember you
how
did
much
ask.
is this gonna cost? I don't want to waste you. Like, I didn't want to sit there and message people for 3 weeks and send 500 messages, and then they turn around and go, "Okay, it'll be $8,000," and I go, "No, no," and then sorry to have wasted your time. So I kept asking, and he just kept saying, Let's talk about this more." Well, let's hammer out a couple more, and then when he sent the price, I was like, the first price he sent was for all premium hardware. It was like
Right.
Shaler, however you pronounce it, or Hipshot or Goto, like name brand. This is stuff people know. And I asked, I was like, "Is there any way to?" Because I think the original price was still like 2,500, which is uh, way cheaper than a lot of other places. Like if you go on Kiesel, like I'm looking on their site right now, and the closest thing to the Zeus is called the Z2, which I would presume is Zeus
Z2.
2. I
Yeah.
presume it's the second version of the Zeus. But like it says starting at 22.99.
Right.
So like just a quick click into their website starts at 22.99. If I get into the builder and
Can
do
you hear me
just the
still?
simple, yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay.
So it's already multi-scale. Looks like it already has the triple pickups. If I go to general options and I change it from strings and I say I want a 5 string, then the price is already 23.69. Multi-scale, it's already multi-scale, but it's 33.5 to 35. So right there, it was not what I wanted. I wanted mine goes from 30 to 32.
Okay, so it's
So
shorter.
it's short scale to medium scale.
Okay.
Whereas the Zeus is slightly under normal scale, which would still fall in the normal scale at 33.5, and then goes to 35, which is long scale.
Right, right.
So it's already 3 inches longer on each side than what I wanted, because this is almost identical to, well, you can't see it right now, but this one right here is the EHB SMS short multi-scale. It goes
Right.
from, I think it's 30 to 32 as well.
Right, right.
So, like looking on Kiesel's site, I look at it and I see that I couldn't get the scale that I want. Now maybe they could. Maybe they could. I don't know.
Yeah, they
Like if you're
I do hear a lot about whatever they don't have on there, just call them and talk to somebody. I do hear that preached a lot
so
throughout their
and if
videos
that's
and
the
stuff like that.
case, then and then there's the question of do they charge extra, because of course they're CNCing all their stuff,
Right.
so they're going to have to build a new program to change the scaling, because they're going to have to change the
Right.
body, they're going to have to change the neck. So
Yeah.
I mean, again, I was looking around and I'd already seen with the Zeus that I wanted. Like when I was done building it on the Kiesel website, it was like $3,800 by the time I was done with what I wanted.
Right.
So when Gustav from Lignum comes back and says, "Hey, everything you want, all the name brand hardware, everything put together, shipping and all, we're talking like 20, I think it was like 24, 2,500." And I came back with, "Is there any way to make that a little cheaper?" And then he was like, "Yeah, I can use, you know, Geiger or All Parts or another brand that is
Yeah.
just as good, like just as good of quality. They're just not a name brand. That'll save you. I think that was like 200 euros right there.
Yeah.
And then rather than sending it in like a fancy hard case, send it in like a Toman case. That'll save $50 or something like that. And then just being nice, he turned around and said, "I'm gonna, since it was a new design because of scaling and everything." He said, "I can turn around and I'll cut my design fee in half just to help you out." So we
Right.
dropped from like 24, 2500 down to less than 2 grand. And that at that point, yes, I was locked in. I
Right.
like I remember the moment I got that text. My family and I were eating at a Buffalo Wild Wings. We were about to be seated, and I read the message, and then they said, "Hey, we got you a table." I walked to the table, I sat down, and I reread the message to be like, I must have read that wrong. There's no way. And then I read it the third time, and I looked at my wife and I go, "Hey, I'm ordering a base because it's like half the price of any other base that I would order to do what I want, and he's going to do anything I want."
Right.
So, and that's the thing too. Like I've talked to Gustav a lot since then, not just about the base that he's building either. Because the channel that's on there, he does not do. His brother does that channel. So if you go on the Lignum Art channel, it has like a house being built. That's
Oh yeah.
Gustav's
Yeah.
brother. That's Gustav's brother's house. But Gustav makes all the instruments, and then the brother puts it up and runs the YouTube channel. I guess he comes in and sets up all the cameras, and then Gustav just does what he does.
Yeah.
But like he's talked about, he would love to be at NAM at some point when I mentioned I was there, and like he hopes in like 3 or 5 years he can do that. So we've talked about me coming and helping, just helping run the booth. I don't care.
Yeah.
Heck,
Right.
I said I'll bring whatever I've bought from him at the point. Just bring it with me and go, "Hey, here's more." No, it's not for sale. Give
Yeah.
me double. Give me double what he'll charge, and you can take it today. Because
Right.
I'll
Right.
have him make me two. But carbon fiber necks would be awesome. Plecked once and good for a decade or more. Yeah, and the thing with the carbon fiber neck, I know with, and I know this comment was like 10 minutes ago. So sorry, Charles. But the carbon fiber necks, I know with Close, they use what is it? It's like an ebony. I think it's an ebony composite. So I don't know. Let me see if I can
Is that what
see
they call
that.
like a rich light? Everybody?
Well, Rich, I don't know if it's Rich because Rich Light is a brand, I believe. Like saying
Right.
styrofoam because it's expanded polystyrene, but styrofoam is the brand name for what polystyrene is made by DuPont. So
Okay.
it's like saying Kleenexes. It's a facial tissue, but no one's going to go, "Do you have any facial tissue?" No, they say, "You
Right.
got a Kleenex?" But their term they use is that it is a an ebony composite, and it might be like a whole bunch of ebony ground up and then made into a product, or it might be that I don't know. Like I don't know. I'd have to ask Adam, and I might send him a message and be like, "What exactly is ebony composite?" so that I can describe it on my video. But the big thing they have is that ebony composite for the fingerboard, and then the carbon fiber for the neck. So since it's composite, I presume that means it's partially or mostly synthetic. So to say to Charles there, I don't even know if you'd have to pleck it because I would suspect that if it's fully mostly synthetic, it probably isn't going to have any warping or twisting, especially sitting on that solid carbon fiber frame. So there you go. Any old school bass
So,
players in
um,
here?
how uh, how were they on wood selection as far as your guitar was made?
Oh,
Did they
for
have a
this one?
yeah, your bass guitar? Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't care
You
because it
didn't
was
care.
gonna. It was gonna. We talked a lot about the woods, and it's in the video. But I knew I wanted something in a white finish. I wanted something that would look like bone, just because I already had the whole motif of this one, and then another one to be its antithesis. Especially once I saw the price of one, I figured I might as well do two. So when we talked about the wood, we did have back and forth on the selection of like, do you want something with a lot of graining? And I said yes. I wanted like the camera and lighting. You can kind of see the wood graining. Like he had talked about
Yeah, it's
filling. He talked
washed
about
out.
he talked about filling the graining with like gray and then sanding it down and then doing the white so the grain would stand out more. And I was like, I
Oh,
no, I don't want that. I just
oh, you
I
didn't.
want I want to look like white wood. Now the center, again, I know it's all washed out. Where the neck is, it's neck through. So the center is just solid white. There's no graining because it's a different wood. I don't remember what he used for the neck or the fretboard. I know these inlays are Paduke because they're a red. They're a red wood that he used. I think he ended up using a laser cutter, laser engraver, to carve it out and carve the shape so he could do the inlay. On
And that
the
was the shape you wanted, or was that just
Yeah.
their? Oh,
So they had a shape already that looked similar to this, that didn't have the violin flutes, and the horn was a little different. The
oh,
bottom,
I no, I meant the shape of the inlay.
yes, yes, it's a Celtic Trinity knot. So
Oh yeah.
this symbol on the 12th fret is a symbol for the Holy Trinity, and
Okay.
then this is like a simplified version of it that is still, it's recognized by, I'm not Catholic, but it's recognized by the Catholic Church as a divine symbol.
Yeah, I see it on a lot of Bibles,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
on the
The
side.
early
Right on.
Catholic Church was really good about taking stuff that wasn't Christian and saying, okay, that's Christian now.
Yeah.
So there we go. And then the bottom of it was literally where he told me, he was like, hey, that triangular shape's not going to fit down there. Like obviously the frets are a lot shorter spacing. So what do you want to do? I said, just take this and make it an infinity symbol that's pointy. And he's like, easy enough. So he did
Nice.
that just so it had a continuous theme all the way down. So I don't remember the wood selection because I didn't care. I knew it was going to have the white treatment all the way across. So for all of me, he could have made it. He could have gone to Croatian Home Depot and grabbed some
Do you
pine and slapped
do
it.
you remember if like chambering was an option,
He didn't.
or is
We didn't.
that solid wood?
It's all solid. No.
Okay.
We talked about, I think we talked about chambering somewhere. I don't remember if it, I swear some messages somehow deleted when I was putting the whole video together, but it
Yeah.
took me like 3 hours to go through and type up all the messages. So I don't know. I swear we talked about some stuff that I don't remember recording in the video, but then again, I recorded that whole thing in one sitting.
Wow.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I know when we talked about the wood, he wanted to use something that was light in color, so that of course it wasn't like trying to bleach ebony or something dumb like that. And I believe this is a type of maple, but it's like a European maple, which is very light in color but has like a greenish tint to it, as opposed to American maple that has like a yellowish tint. And
Okay.
then we had talked about, I had mentioned that he might look at seeing if he could get a source for holly, because if you've ever seen the actual wood from the holly tree, it's very pale. It's very white looking wood. That's why it's associated with Christmas, because it's very white and pale like snow.
Oh.
And he'd said that, he didn't have a woodworking source for holly in the size and quantity that he would need here. He would have had to track it down, get it ordered, and source it and all that. So I was like, yeah, whatever you can get, I don't care. The second base though, it will be just the wood. There won't be any treatment to it. It's going to be the red Paduke, which this is very washed out. It
Where's
looks
proper at?
brown.
Did proper
Huh?
influence that?
Well, I've always liked the wood grain too. I do like stained wood, like this EHB that has the burl poplar top and the blue finish. I really love that. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
The like charcoal wood finishing on this Strandberg is very pretty. But the next one will be Wingay, Paduke, which is red in color. This looks brown on the video, but it's red. And it'll be Wingay, Paduke, and Purple Heart. So it'll be
Oh,
red,
Purple Heart.
purple, and mostly red, purple, and Wingay, which is mostly black.
Purple Heart's beautiful wood.
Yeah. Also, it gets more purple the more oxygen it gets. When you cut it, it doesn't look as purple. It's when the
Oh wow.
outside of the wood oxidizes. So it's a lot to work with and glue up and stuff, but he said he can do it. So that and that was another thing of it too is
Yeah, like
wood.
I have a cutting board that's Purple Heart. It's really heavy, dense piece of wood, and anytime I go to clean it, the purple comes off. I mean, that's it's crazy. Like you would think it was stained purple or something. How much
Yeah.
purple comes off on the rag I go to clean it with?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty crazy.
So, and that's how it's supposed to go. Like this one, I know he did a multi-layer neck. I don't know what it was, and you can't see it because the whole back of the neck's white. But that's another thing too with a custom builder like Lignum. I'm again for around $2,000. The next base is going to be not to give it all away, but the fretboard's going to be Wingay. It's going to have Wingay, Purple Heart, Paduke body with a Wingay top. So all of these edgings that you can see where it's contoured, those they would look like stripes because you would see
Yeah.
the Wingay and then red and then purple and then a black top and then
Oh
the
wow.
neck. And since it has the top, the whole front will be black. Like on this one, it has the solid white stripe where there's no graining. It won't do that, but you will see it's going to be like I think he said we'll do a 7-piece Wingay Purple Heart and Paduke neck. So I think it's like black, red, black, purple, black, red, black, purple, or black, red, black, purple, black, red, black.
Wow.
So he's going to do something like that. I don't know. He'll do something cool, I'm sure. I told him the woods that I'd like for the colors that they are, and he said, "Yeah, I can do that." So, and that's another thing. If you go with a custom maker, like if you go on Kiesel's site, I know they have a bunch of different options. I know they do like quarter sawn maple necks and stuff like that, and I think you can get laminated necks, but unless you go with a truly custom builder or a place like Kiesel that will let you call in and do specific stuff on your order, you're not going to a Guitar Center and going, "Hey, do you have a bass with a Wingay Purple Heart and Paduke neck in stock?" And they go, "Yeah, we
Oh
got 5 of them right over here."
yeah. Right.
They're in the exotic woods set. No, they don't have that.
Right.
You're not walking in and going, "Hey, do you guys have a bass that's wood grain but is bleached white and looks like bone?" You're not doing that. They aren't going to go, "Yeah, here you go. Here's one."
Yeah.
So when you order custom, you're getting that stuff that you want. You get to say what you want. The builder will say what they can do or what they think is smart, like not putting stabby bobs on the bottom of your instrument where it's going to stab you in the leg. Okay, it would have looked super cool with some stabby bobs right here. By golly, would that have been cool looking if they had it right there? But it would not have been comfortable.
Right.
That's where I, as the purchaser designer person, was dumb.
Now the
And
other
they,
thing I noticed is he was kind of opposed to doing uh, a bass shape that somebody else had already did.
correct. When I first messaged, I wanted to do something similar to the company Overload from Rome. They're based out of Rome, Italy. They have one called the Achilles, and I really like that shape. It looks almost like a Strandberg Bowden, but a single cut. That's
Okay.
if you look it up, it looks like a single cut version of a Bowden. And I really liked those, and they have some awesome finishes. And I sent him the picture, and he was like, "Hey, it's great to be inspired by somebody, but I don't do replicas or copies because, of course, you don't want to cease and desist for one, but also like if I'm a craftsperson, I don't want to make what someone else makes." And I 100% agree with that. Like I don't want to be known as the guy who's the best at making other people's stuff for cheap or
Yeah.
cheaper or
No, I get it.
customed better. So, yeah, and again, like all of the contact I had with Gustav was great.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, on the base I'm trying to design with him now. I say trying because it's not been super easy because we've gone back and forth and I basically took this shape and I said, "Okay, here's what I want. I want this curve to continue out and then I want it to hook back in and curve and then come back and then I want it to hook and curve back here." And he was like, "Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like how that looks." Like I sketched it out, had the hooks shown in. He was like, "No, I don't like that." He sent me a completely different design that he actually designed for a violin to do like an ultra ergonomic light violin. And I was like, "That's kind of cool. Could we do this and then maybe some of this?" And he's like, "No, that's too many changes. It would not look good." And it's like, again, I have the ultimate say of whether I pay for it to be made and buy it. He's got the
Right.
ultimate say on what he is willing to make. And if he
Yeah.
looks at my designs and go, "Your designs are ugly. I'm not making them." Okay. So
Right.
we've gone back and forth. The last message he sent me on the design was 2 days ago, and I'd said something about here's the like the minimalist version of what I'm looking for, as far as like similar to this, but not a whole lot of changes, just a handful. And he was like, "I'll see what I can come up with. I have a new AI program that can help me with shapes. I'll see what it can come up with too, and then I'll see what I like." And it's like, I mean, how much more can you say than "I'll see what I like"?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's fine. Like, whatever we design together, it'll be designed between the two of us. Like this shape was similar to what he'd had, but the one that he had was round across the bottom. It didn't have this like angle to it, and it didn't have this cutout to reach the tuners. These were an option that he could do, but it wasn't on the original design that I saw. And this is their normal headless top, and I love it because it goes on a hanger perfectly. Like I can just put it right on a hanger, no worries.
Nice.
The EHBs will do it, but they'll also slip if you don't hang them up the same way. So I've taken the hangers and put them in my vise and pinched them in just a little bit so they're slightly tighter. And then I basically squished the crap out of the foam so it has a dent. So as soon as you hook it up, it goes and just kind of locks into place.
Okay.
But like, and again, like there's always the best thing about a custom base if you go through and do all the customizations yourself, on my opinion anyway, is all of the stuff that is ran by you, and you should think about everything. Like I didn't think about like what string retaining hardware was going to be on this, and after having done it, I can 100% say I prefer it on the Strandberg because it has two screws that go in to hold the string.
Yeah.
So I feel more comfortable putting in a string there because I can put one and put it where it's tight. I know it's held. And then I can put the second one and cinch it down and then slightly tighten the other one so that now I know. Because on the EHBs, I've cut strings in half. Like I've put strings in and tightened it so much, just cranking on it, that the strings just broke because I pinched it all the way through the outer core to outer wraps to the core, and it just unravels and snaps. Now I know some of the older EHBs, the part that hit the string was actually pretty narrow, so it actually served like a wedge instead of a clamp. But I I didn't think about the string retainers to say, "Hey, let's make sure that those have two screws." I'd never seen the ones on a Strandberg before, so I didn't even know that was a thing, and it's great. These tuners are. I love the EHB tuners. I love the ones on these EHBs. If I had a set and it wasn't like $200 to mail him a set, I looked into it. It's like
Wow.
$80 just to send a letter because I was going to send him a set of the strings, these strings, so that when he put it together, it had these strings, not the other strings that he put on to ship it to me. So the but it was going to be like $80 to mail him the strings. So to send him the tuners would be like 90 or $100 plus the tuners. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
But
After I got my bite bass, there were things that I was like, when I got it, I was like, oh man, I should have asked about that, and I should have asked about that. I should have asked about that.
that's the thing. It's a lot like if you go on vacation somewhere the first time. You go there, you do the things that you're supposed to do. If you go to Hawaii, you might go to Pearl Harbor. If you go to San Francisco, you might go to Alcatraz. If you go to New York, you might go see the Empire State Building. Like these are
And mind
things
you,
that,
I was only a year into playing the bass,
yeah,
so I hadn't really had a lot of experience
sure,
anyways. Seen a lot of different basses, At that time, maybe 6 or 7 basses I had actually played and put my hands on.
mm-hmm,
And now it's been, going on 2 years in this April, but I've probably put my hands and played like 30 basses.
yeah,
So you learn every time you do that.
oh yeah, and that's the thing. Like with these tuners, these ones, the ones on the Strandberg, I like the grip where you turn it. It has like a good amount of grip, like texturing. The EHBs have a kerfing on it that's excellent. These ones are a bit different in that it has like a kerfing pattern or curling or whatever it's called, the texturing, but it's not as pronounced. But then it also, I'm sure it won't show up on camera. Maybe it will. I don't know. Yeah, you can see right here how it has like crowning, like
Yeah.
notches. Those notches are apparently there so you could put like an Allen key or a knife or whatever into it and then use that leverage to turn it.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's neat. I'm not going to put a blade of any kind towards the end of my bass to start turning it and then slide it and slice the thing. But
Right.
like they it's there's always something, and I think that's the real catch 22. If I was to give any catch 22 on designing a bass, is you're always going to find something, whether it's mass produced, whether it's custom, what have you. You're always going to find something that, oh, this could have been better. This I could
Right.
like you said with the bite bass, there were things of, oh, I wished I'd known to do this. But you're always going to find something. If if I'd known for the string retainers and tuners and I'd said, "Hey, I don't care the cost. Get the tuners for an Ibanez EHB and get the string retainers like a Strandberg." There would have been something else on here that I would have been like, "Oh man, if only I had." So, you're always going to have something. And that's fine because then
Right.
you have something to improve on if you order another. Like when I got this, I realized this could easily be my one and done if I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
I could easily get rid of every other bass that I have, and if this was the only bass I had, I would be plenty happy. Like the question I think on Johnny and Chris's podcast, one of the quick fire questions they ask people is like, if your house was on fire and you had to grab one bass to save, what would it be? No questions. And there's a window right here. So I'm probably having a lot of dirty, damaged, possibly broken basses because I'm going to open that window and just start chucking them. This one's the last. This is the one I'm not throwing. I'm grabbing it and carrying it with me. The rest of them, chucking them from the window. Right out there. If I break half of them, the other half of them survived. Either that or I let them all burn and I let insurance pay me for them. One or the other. But no, like this would be the one that I would save. Not even a
Well,
question. But, and that's the thing. Like, when you do a custom bass, it's going to be yours. It's the thing you put together. Um, Maybe 3D print a plastic cap that fits into the crown nut on the end of the tuner. Yeah. I mean, that could work. My wife does 3D printing, so I'm sure that we could design something that just went, but it turns just fine. Like I found it interesting that it has those notches. Hello, sir. I have help.
uh-oh.
Yeah. That means that they're home and it's supposed to, yeah, it's after 6. So this is supposed to be over anyway. You want to
Yeah.
say hi to Dyno? He can't
What's
see.
up, buddy?
Wave this way. There you go.
What's his name?
His name's Elliot, but he can't hear you because I have the.
Elliot. Oh,
You know,
sorry.
Dyno says hi. He's gone.
Elliot.
He got to be on screen, so he's fine. I have like the cutest video, and my wife won't let me upload it. One day he was visiting with me while I was playing bass, and I got up to go to the bathroom, and I came back, and he'd put my headphones on and was sitting in my chair, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I pull out my camera, and I said, "You got something you want to say to everybody?" And he tried to do the like typical intro. He said, "Hi everybody, I'm the OK Bass. I love you, Dad."
Oh
And
man.
I told my wife, I was like, "Give me permission to upload that. Let me put that. That will be 1 million views on YouTube on Shorts." And she's like, "I don't want him on your channel. I don't want him out on the internet." And I was like, "Dang it, that'd be at least 20 subscribers right there." But
Oh, just put a
um,
happy face over his face.
but
Uh.
no,
Well,
on the custom based stuff, I mean, I again, the number one advice I'll give anybody on anything is don't let your hobby or your vice, however you want to call it, don't let it cause you financial trouble. Like don't go base poor, for lack of another term. But if again, like I said earlier, you can go spend $4,000 on a Fender on a P bass.
did it.
So I mean,
Did it.
and that's the thing. Like you can spend, and to
I
me,
love it. Don't get
oh
me
yeah,
wrong. I love it.
oh I watched your video. I have to watch your one from today, but
Oh, you're
like
gonna be bored. It's acoustic, so.
it's fine. I'm not AMP. AMP hates
Oh,
acoustics. That's fine. I've got a uke right here. So
yeah. Is that a collab? What is it?
no, that one's like
No.
it's an old video on the channel. Hadeen Hadeen Hadean. I don't know how to pronounce it. Hadeen
Oh, okay.
Hadeen Hadian. I don't know. But anyway, like to me, spending that on a fender shaped object is just I don't care. I think the Jackson Minion that I have is shaped like a traditional P bass, and it's I mean it's a PJ, so that makes sense. But like it does visually, it does nothing for me. Like
Right.
I like the weird stuff.
No, and
So
it's all good. I like
yeah,
the
everybody
classic
likes
stuff.
their own stuff.
I
And when you're getting something, my big advice is don't go poor in your needs to fulfill your wants. But
right.
the other thing on that is if you have the money and you're being financially, responsible, and you're only spending the money that you have to spend, that is fun money, I guess to say, don't get something like I guess for lack of a better terminology, don't settle. Like don't go saying, "Hey, I have a shape and I want that shape. Like I designed this shape and it's the coolest looking thing in the world to me and I want this made." And then you find out with some company that they'll do everything but that shape and everything else is going to be perfect, but it won't be the shape you want. Then don't settle. Don't do that. Find someone who will do what you want so that you're not sitting here going, "Oh man, if only I could have gotten just wait and do it." And if no one will do
Right.
it, there are plenty of things on YouTube to learn. Like there's a guy I watch, wood wood like bass woodworker or something like that. I don't remember his channel name. I should look it up because I support him. I'll find his channel name real quick before we get off here. The heck is the name of his channel? Uh, Something about wood. He works with wood, so that the Wooden Hobbyist. I wasn't even close. That's the name of his channel, and his channel is basically there to teach people how to make their own instruments.
Wow. Nice.
So, like, you could spend a handful of dollars to buy equipment that's cheap, and then make your own thing. It might not be perfect, but you can at least make it. Have a good
Right.
time.
I
But
am not a craftsman like that.
yeah,
I
me
learned
neither.
that a long
That's
time
why I
ago.
pay other people to make stuff for me. But anyway, it is now 6:09, so it's time to sign off here. Dyno, you want to shout out your channel and give your outro?
Oh, just Dyno Dan Bassman on YouTube, and then you know, my outros just tap some strings and do some things.
There you go.
Thanks for
And
having me, Travis.
not a problem. Have fun. And then, of course, I have been the okayest bassist, as always. Everybody who's here or who watches later, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. And I hope you and my wonderful wife, who just popped in for, oh, she's gone now, have a wonderful day. No, go to the video. Why didn't you?